All right, Facebook, meanwhile, is under fire. The social media giant is getting major backlash from shareholders over political contributions. Shareholders saying the politicians Facebook is donating to have positions that don't align with the public views of the company. Let's bring in Eamon Javers here to start this off. You've been following this story, Eamon, and tell us first of all what's really going on here.
Yeah, I mean, look, this is a piece of a broader trend that we're seeing with particularly liberal groups trying to make the point that CEOs and leaders of large corporations are donating corporate money to political candidates based on their own personal worldviews and political views, not necessarily on what's best for the company or even what's consistent with what the company has said in the past. So there's a big effort going on now by shareholder activists to try to hold those companies accountable to what they've said their corporate values are, and to see if their donations politically square with those, or if these are more tactical political donations that they're making.
Okay, on that point, and for more, let's bring in Julie Goodridge. She is a major player in this story, the CEO of North Star Asset Management, which owns over 55,000 shares of Facebook. Julie, it's great to see you. Welcome.
Thanks. It's great to be here, Kelly.
And so you... go ahead. What's your specific issue as a shareholder of Facebook with what this company is donating to?
Well, I think it's interesting that Eamon pointed out that the CEOs often give money to political candidates that support their own values. But in this case, the CEO's values and the values of the company are not that far apart. What's interesting about Facebook is that they have been making political contributions to candidates that consistently undermine the values of the company and of Mark Zuckerberg.
Julie, let me ask you this question. How much of this today and the pressure that we've seen on companies like Mozilla is coming from companies that are able to donate more because of the Citizens United decision or what have you, and now shareholders and the public more generally is looking for this level of transparency? Or is this just, is this an issue that has a long history, long roots, et cetera?
No, certainly, political contributions have increased in the public eye as well as in actual dollar amounts from corporations since the Citizens United decision back in 2010. And we've owned shares at Facebook relatively recent. We bought them last year, something like that. And basically what we're concerned about is that there is a lot of public awareness of corporate political giving. And when you look at companies like Facebook that are social media sites, as soon as consumers and, kids under the age of 29 find out that 41% of Facebook's political contributions are going to candidates that hold values that are in direct opposition to Facebook's stand on LGBT equality, we're going to have a problem.
Mary?
Julie, go ahead.
Well, Julie, I wanted to ask you a question. This is Mary Thompson. Obviously, you've probably spoken with Facebook about it, and I'm sure one of the reasons they give to these candidates is there's a business decision behind it that would probably override what they do in their own corporation and what they even may believe personally. So what are their reasons for giving to these candidates who are in contrast with the beliefs that they hold at the corporation and personally?
Well, there isn't a good reason. I mean, basically what they throw out is this concept of business interest. But in fact, we believe that, especially with companies like Facebook, Facebook is acting against its business interests. One of the big issues that's come up is that they supported 22 of the sponsors and co-sponsors of the Stop Online Piracy Act, and PIPA, which is another thing that both Facebook and Mark Zuckerberg have made public statements that they oppose. So my question to them would be, why in the world are you making these kinds of contributions to those guys when, there are plenty of other candidates who hold the same values that you do, who are would be as supportive of your business interests as anybody else?
Okay.
What's the
Facebook,
rationale?
by the way, has not commented on this. Eamon?
Julie, I guess the question isn't the answer to your question kind of self-evident here? What do you think is in Mark Zuckerberg's head as he makes campaign contributions through his company to politicians who don't square with the things that he's or his company have said on LGBT rights and other things? What's the answer? Why is he making those contributions?
I think because, like most companies that we've talked to over the last 4 years, they have absolutely no idea why they're making those contributions. That has been the problem.
Making the contributions for them? Are the lobbyists telling them who to contribute to?
No, in fact, what's happening is they have somebody who's actually in charge of public policy at Facebook making the contributions. You would think he would understand what the Facebook brand is all about, what company policies are all about.
But aren't we
he's
threading
actually
the needle?
not paying any attention to those.
at one point we sit here on the floor of this exchange and everybody says, my God, politics and how we believe is so polarized. And yet on the other hand, we go look inside of a contribution budget of a multi-billion-dollar company and we find one thing that we don't like. And then all of a sudden we're moving in a direction, we're being hostile about it. And business is about business. And if we continue to, I think, go down this path of picking everything apart, that's going to, in my opinion, going to be the tough road to follow, because it's not easy, it's not possible to do, quite honestly.
Julie?
Well, it actually is incredibly easy to do, and basically what you're doing is you're taking sort of an archaic view of the whole process of political giving. Every single contribution.
You look at the analysis of political contributions and what it gets in Washington, and Eamon wouldn't have a job if it wasn't for all the money that's sloshing around. I'll tell you, he'd be up there with a can of pencils and dark glasses. No way in the world.
Listen,
it greases the system. How can you say that it's not an integral part?
We're not saying that these companies can't make the political contributions. All we're saying is, why don't you take a look at what you're doing, what you say you're doing, and what you're all about, and then make your political contributions. And if you feel like you need to make a political contribution that apparently violates your company values, tell the shareholders about it. So
Julie,
we can tell that you actually have paid attention to good governance and you know what you're doing. Last year at the Google shareholder meeting, we had the same exact resolution, and Eric Schmidt had absolutely no idea that they were supporting the key sponsor of the Stop Online Piracy Act.
Real quick,
that's just ridiculous.
So, Julie, you're inferring that Zuckerberg does not have any idea about what his company is doing, and it's the policymakers that that have all the control?
Yeah, and I think that even if they're not connecting the dots, is what I'm saying. They're new, they're the young players in the sandbox. They've got a lot of money to throw around. And, it's really important for their business model, to shareholders, to advertising, for crying out loud, that they pay close attention to what their values are and their business interests. Those two things are not separate.
Julie Goodridge, thanks for being here.
We learned that with Target. Thank you.
Appreciate it.